The NBA rescinded Giannis's triple-double. Good job, Eddie. Your little petition worked. Haters. Run It Back starts now.
Run it up, then run it back. Yeah. Run it up, then run it back. Run it back. Run it up, run it back. Yeah. Run it up.
Good Tuesday morning and welcome to Run It Back. Eddie, I am so mad at you about this Giannis thing. I know you were behind it. We will get to that later in the show. First of all, of course, introducing everyone, Stadium Insider Shams Charania, Chandler P, with just what is becoming probably the best background of all. I mean, from zero to hero, just like in a day. And Eddie G on the end, the man who hates everything and everybody. Unfortunately, though, just like yesterday, we have to start the show off with some serious stuff. Hopefully some way we won't. But Ja, look, here's the deal. Colorado police right now investigating him for brandishing the firearm that was in the video. Shams, anything to add to that? What is the latest that we know right now with Ja?
Yeah, there's an NBA investigation going on right now. There's a Colorado police investigation going right now. This could all lead to even more disciplinary measures for Ja Morant, who's away from the team seeking help. The onus is going to be on Ja to get help and get responsibility. The onus is on him to figure this out, get better. But what's interesting is that I'm told recently there was a players-only meeting where Steven Adams spoke out in the meeting, and it essentially directed comments to Ja Morant about the fact that the team needs to have much better discipline on the road. Guys need to essentially stop going out on the road. This is not a good road team. What's crazy is they're amazing at home, but then when you look at their road record, 12-20 on the season, that's not really top flight for a team that's contending for a championship. And so everyone in that room, the Grizzlies have a lot of young guys on this team for sure, but everyone in the room, I'm told, knew exactly who those comments were directed to: Ja Morant. And when you talk to people around the Grizzlies, they say, we don't have a systemic team issue with going out. This is a Ja Morant issue. And so this is something that it clearly came up, and Ja Morant clearly blew that red light anyway, and he ended up going out whether it was a week or so later in the early hours of Saturday morning, and he was seen on IG Live, his own IG Live, displaying a gun. And so what I'm curious, Chandler, you've been in a locker room before. You've been in tense players-only meetings. You've been a part of a lot as a leader, as a guy that's a supporting cast guy. When you think about Steven Adams speaking out, he's a guy that doesn't speak out much often, but he did speak out in this moment. And his words clearly didn't go through, and Ja Morant still went out. That experience still happened. What do you feel like if you're Steven Adams? What do you feel like if you're in that Grizzlies locker room right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's super disappointing, and this just seems to keep getting worse for Ja Morant. And listen, guys have these kind of team meetings, usually when it's rock bottom. Like a team meeting is kind of like a tell-all, like, oh, we've lost 10 straight, let's have a team meeting, or something of this nature where you really got to pull the group together. And I've had, 20 plus of these in my career, and usually they stick, and usually they pack a punch. And whether or not, whatever the issue is, you see a team kind of rally around this and they come together. This, as a teammate, you make an eye-to-eye pact that, hey, we're getting a little reckless, we're getting a little crazy on the road. Steven Adams is one of the older guys on this team. You would think that would pack a punch, and then they would listen, and they didn't. And Ja Morant, it just shows that he's on his own wave, and that this was just a blatant disrespect, that they didn't care what their team captain or team leader had to say. And now it's out of their control, right? Because now the police are involved. Now the team, the league, everything else involved. So now as a teammate, you're sitting there saying, damn, I tried to help you. I tried to kind of direct us in the right way. Like, now there's not much you can do. So it's definitely frustrating, but it's a very immature, very ignorant, selfish move, because the Grizzlies, they've created this identity, right? This culture on the court. They talk trash. They're tough. They're not scared. They're good in the West. But when you start seeing that trickling off the court, now there's issues like this, that's not going to help anybody. And they do have a chance to win this year, and they have a good young team and a good core and a great coach. They're throwing that all away this year just by their behavior. So it's extremely disappointing. And clearly the message didn't get across to their star player, which is even more disappointing.
I'm not in that locker room, but you have to figure Steve is a big voice in that locker room, or at least an authority in the sense of, he's our enforcer. He's one of our vets. He's played in big games before. He's done it all in this league. And when there's a skirmish on the court, and there's always a lot of skirmishes with this team, he's the first guy to run up, push everybody out the way, protect his guys. He was the guy going after Shannon Sharp. He's the guy making sure everybody's cool. So for him to speak up and then for your star player to just be like whatever and roll his eyes and go on about it, it has to be frustrating in that locker room. It has to be disappointing. And you look at their record without Ja last year, it was pretty telling in the sense that, look, he's dynamic. He raises them a level in the playoffs. He's their unguardable option when they need him late in games. But they're able to make do without him. They're able to still defend. They're actually able to defend better, according to the numbers. And they're able to compete without him. So for him to just blow them off, blow one of their leaders off like that, yeah, look, outside looking in, I know I'm not in a locker room. I've never been in a locker room like Chandler. But that has to be frustrating and disappointing. And then everything that came after that is even worse. The way I know it's disappointing is that Shams knows what happened. And if you have a players-only meeting and you really want to keep it players-only meeting, and that's no disrespect to Shams. We know he's everywhere. He has eyes everywhere. But if you really want to keep a players-only meeting tight, you can. But we know about it now. The world knows about it. And that's how I know they're disappointed.
Well,
that was my first thing.
Yeah, what's crazy too is most teams don't go out after losses too. And this is a loss on the road where he's going out, he's after the loss, they're in Denver, and still just without a care in the world, he goes on his own Instagram. It's not like he got sniped by some person extorting him. He got so lit or did whatever he was doing to where he literally just didn't care after a loss out in the public eye, and then goes on Instagram Live to even top that off to make things even worse for himself. So again, this just keeps getting worse and worse, and there's no chance that this is only going to be a 2-game suspension, because once we actually get details of the gun, and did he travel with it? Is the gun on the team plane? There's so many other stuff that I'm hearing out there that are just next level with this. So hopefully Ja gets help, because he's such an explosive, fun player. But, man, this is a horrific look.
I mean, look, when Shotgun Willie's, Denver's premier gentleman's club, is calling, who can resist that, right? Like, you have to go to Shotgun. I mean, that's the worst name for a strip club I've ever heard. But that being said, here's the thing. When he's only 23, right? It's one, you can lose the fans, you can lose the front office, but if you lose your teammates and you're this young, that's a bad start to what is probably supposed to be a really, really fabulous career. So we keep saying, I hope he gets the help. I'll be honest with you. The cynical side of me is like, what help do we think he's going to go get? That's the part where I'm having a really hard time. Other than being told repeatedly, don't do this, I don't really understand what the help is. Like, don't have more respect for weaponry. I have no idea what the help is. I know we keep saying it. It's a generic term we all use as media, but does anybody here have any idea what help is Ja supposed to be getting exactly? Like,
I think the only thing you can say, of course, like Chandler said, there's a lot of stuff we don't know. Like, how much alcohol, substance, was there anything of that involved? I think that's a fair question to ask when you're talking late at night. I mean, this is in the early hours in Denver. A lot of people didn't even see it until they woke up the next morning. But what's curious here is when you look at Memphis, the way they've handled Ja Morant, this is the guy they gave the keys to their franchise to. There's a balance there, between how much do you want to have authority on him, how much do you want to hold him accountable, versus you understand he is your lifeline, he's your guy, you've already given him the keys, you've given him carte blanche to do what he wants to do and travel on the road and bring his entourage on the road to city to city and essentially go out in every single city that he's in. So to me, when you think about Steven Adams giving in a players-only meeting, essentially saying we need to stop going out, I think that is very unique. I don't know how often Chandler can speak to it. I don't know. Has there ever been a veteran leader speaking in the locker room saying, guys, don't go out? Like, it's very, and everyone in the room knows exactly who that is. It's like there's one guy who's going out every single night in every single city.
And then
to
he
me,
goes
that was like
out,
a last
Chandler.
resort. And,
like, he goes
and
out.
the red light is blown there.
I mean, usually guys have the understanding that I shouldn't go out this night. Or listen, if it's a big team win, usually there's some sort of team dinner afterwards. Yeah, let's go to a bar. Let's go have a drink if we have the night off, if we don't have practice early in the morning. There's obviously a balance. These kids are young. They're popping. They make a lot of money. They're going to enjoy their life. I enjoyed my life to the fullest. Trust me. I did that.
We know, Chandler.
I'm just saying there's a time and a place for all this. And Ja Morant has kind of brought this on himself, where he has videotaped himself chugging tequila live on his plane with all his entourage, parties at his house. So I think the real issue here would be to get him rehab for drinking a lot, because it seems like that is the root of this problem. And every time something bad happens, it's late at night, he's drinking. And again, there's so much evidence of him that he's filming himself pounding drinks and doing that. That's an issue, especially during the season, especially on his Instagram Live, especially holding possibly a loaded gun. Like, it's just all bad.
All bad. This story is insane to me. But the good news is we are done with it, at least for today. I'm sure there will be much more to come, but we do have some basketball to talk about. How about those Cavs Celtics? We get another overtime game. Thank you, basketball. Donovan with 40, Mobley with 25, Garland with 17, Cavs beating them 118-114. They're now 28-7 at home. I love where this is headed. All right, Bucks, Celtics, Sixers. Are we ready to put them on that tier, or are they still one tier below, Chandler?
I still think they're one tier below. Think about it. The Celtics just came off a double overtime loss, and they sat out some of their guys. And the Cavs had to go to overtime to kind of squeeze one out here. But I do love what they're doing. They're so young. That backcourt is just tremendous offensively. These guys play hard. You can tell watching this team play, they're having fun out there. They're playing for one another. I talk to JB Bickerstaff all the time. This is the most happy he's been coaching this group of guys, which means is half the battle, honestly, in the NBA, that these guys like each other. They play for one another. They're unselfish. They get along. And that alone will win you 20 games in the NBA. So I love where the Cavs are going. I love this backcourt. I love their talent. I love their bigs, but it's just tough. Like those three teams above them, and they just beat one of them, but let's take it with a grain of salt. Like I said, they're coming off a long night the night before. But it's promising. And if not this season, they're only going to get better next season and in the season after that. So I love it, but I just don't think they have enough quite yet this year.
Not yet.
I'm going to be advanced stats guy. They had the best net rating in the league. They had the best defensive rating in the league. And like, look, those are team ratings and those are weird numbers that you got to calculate and all this stuff. But the point is, they've managed to be one of the best defensive teams in this league with that two-guard lineup, with Darius Garland being as small as he is, with Donovan Mitchell, and his reputation is not as a great defender. I think he's fine. He's athletic. He can defend when he needs to. But with those two big guys up front, they've managed to have the best defense of the league statistically. So with that alone, they have a chance. Now, it does come to matchups. It does come to what they can do against very specific teams. As of right now, look, I look at somebody like the Nets with all of those athletic wings they have and the way they can defend. It's like, they're going to bother the Cavaliers. I look at Joel Embiid and James Harden. They're going to bother the Cavaliers. Obviously, the two best teams in the league and the two best teams in the conference, the Celtics and the Bucks, they're going to bother the Cavaliers. I wonder how they match it with the Knicks. We've talked about that series before, and the way they can attack from the wing and the way they can make deep shots and don't really necessarily need to be into the paint and dealing with those bigs. But when you have Donovan Mitchell, and we've seen what he can do in the playoffs before, and you have what Darius Garland has put together this season as well, they are dangerous. But Chandler's right. They won this game the day after a double overtime game. There's no Jason Tatum. There's no Al Horford. And even then, the Celtics had a chance to win this game. We're going to talk about it in a second, I'm sure. But Celtics had a chance to win this game. Should not have even been close. I still think they're a tier below. But the Cavaliers fans should be excited because if they all outperform themselves, they could win. They could advance a few rounds in the playoffs and maybe make some noise.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're on that same tier as Milwaukee and Boston, and honestly, maybe even Philly. But what I will say is that from what I can gather and what I know is Donovan Mitchell took it very personally last year, how he played in the playoffs. And I haven't really seen him play at a high level in the playoffs and really win games in the playoffs for his team since 2020 in the bubble. I saw that firsthand, him going back and forth with Jamal Murray. We haven't seen him play at that level in the playoffs, which I think until now, he's had 8 40-point games this season. He's got 17 in his career. So half of those games have all come this season. He's already going to get the Cavs single-season record for three-pointers made in a year. So this is quite a debut season for Donovan Mitchell. I think you're starting to see him play at a really high level. And his entrance to Cleveland, I don't think you could have scripted it any better. 71-point game, all-star starter. This is a guy that clearly is on a mission this year. And I think if he's able to play like this and play like a superstar, I think this Cavs team does have a chance to potentially get to the second round of the conference finals. I think a lot of it will depend on Donovan Mitchell.
I mean, look, if they do face the Knicks in that first round, I'm all in on that. There was a moment last night, though, Eddie alluded to it, where the Celtics could have won this game. Donovan Mitchell talks a little bit of trash to Grant Williams. Cavs are up by 2 at this point. Williams at the line says, "I won't miss," and then does exactly what you think. It's tie game here. At 0.08 seconds left, he misses both, Chandler. Like, what? The question is basically, do you feel bad? I have a funny feeling I know what you're going to say, though. Go ahead.
I mean, you feel for the dude, but this is, I mean, I get it. He's trying to act arrogant. He's trying to act confident. All he needed was one. So I don't know why he was barking that he was going to make both. Almost make the first and miss the second on purpose would have been the ideal plan here. But yeah, this is unfortunate, obviously, with nowadays and social media and all the cameras. Do you guys follow Nick Kyrgios, the tennis player, on Twitter?
Oh, yes.
He absolutely hates Grant Williams. And it's almost, I'm starting to think there's actual personal beef here, because I follow this dude and he just goes off all game long on Grant Williams. And he had a field day after this kind of comment from him. But you got to feel bad. But also on the flip side, man, like, knock the free throws down. You have a chance right here to win your team. No one thought you were going to win this game. You smoked the game the night before in double overtime. This would have been a nice win. And everyone's talking about Celtics. Are they losing it now? Like, the kid just makes one free throw, they win this game. And we're talking about how they're off the schneid and they're just fine. So you feel for the dude, but also you got to step up there and knock one of those down.
Okay, the Kyrgios thing we need to get to the bottom of, by the way. Why is it so specific?
Right.
Go on, sorry.
I knew Grant was cooked when he slowed his form down for the final free throw. I'm going to make them both famous last words. But shout out to the Cavs. A lot of gamesmanship. A couple extra subs, holding up the game a little bit. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell. Karis LeVert walks across the lane right before he's about to get the ball. They knew exactly what they were doing. But as soon as he missed that first one, I knew it was cooked. And I'm just happy they lost the game, because they did not deserve to win that game. And they jumped out early in overtime. So it's like, man, it'd suck if they actually win this game. And then the game ends with him shooting a desperation 3, which of course he bricks, and he just rips his jersey off, and he's pissed. I hope he did his postgame as Batman again, because only Batman could answer for what happened out there. But yeah, I don't feel sorry for him. Grant's living a great life. He's got a bag on the way, so congrats, Grant, for the bag. But
I mean, look at like I'm going to spend the rest of the day going through Kyrgios, because it's like, why is he on this roster? This feels very personal. Like he did something, stole a girl. I don't know. Something happened here that's very, very weird and personal. Yeah, Shams, drop everything and find out what is going on between Kyrgios and Williams.
You know what's crazy is Grant Williams actually trends on Twitter every night for I don't know why, but he trends every night he plays, good or bad. And you know what's crazy about that play is Marcus Smart almost tip dunked that. So shout out Marcus Smart coming
that
from
was
from
nuts.
the half court line.
By the way, he's trending because Kyrgios is just ripping him to pieces every night, and people are reading it and responding.
I'm going to start paying more attention to Kyrgios. I know I was already following him, but I wasn't paying attention.
Also,
Look,
shout out to Danny for getting all these and ripping.
Right? There's 1,000. Mose did it. All right. So look, the Celtics, despite close or not close wins, losses, they've lost 3 in a row. They're 5-5 in their last 10. This part of the year is usually about teams that get hot. Right now, Celtics fans have had a nice, blessed year so far, Chandler. But at this point, do you think they're starting to get a little bit nervous?
I don't think they're getting nervous. I think they're just fine. Again, we're talking about 1 or 2 possessions away in these games. They could have beat New York the night before, and they should have won this if Grant just makes one of those free throws. And again, not every play comes down to the end. I hate when teams do that. They could have won this game multiple other ways, but is it concerning? Yeah, you don't want to lose, 3 straight like this. Coming out of the All-Star break, your guys should be rested. You guys should be focused. You should be on a mission right now. But I think the more level of concern isn't them losing these close games. It's how good Milwaukee is playing, and it's how scary Philly can be. So, yes, if you're Boston, you want to continue to trend upward. But when you look over there and everyone's following, this is the time of year where everyone's looking at the standings. Oh, we got the Knicks today. Oh, we got Miami. Like, who's playing well, who's catching momentum, who's healthy. And the Celtics, as they lose 3 straight, they're looking at these other teams that are playing very, very well in the East, and that's what's scary for them.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's almost the perfectly written segue as we take a quick break here, because Harden had 20 assists, Embiid with 42. And like Chandler said, Philly's getting scary when we run it back returns.
The running back, Run it up, then run it back.
Y'all like points? We got points. Sixers beating the Pacers 147-143. Like I said, Embiid had 42, Harden 14 points, 20 assists. I love Tyrese Maxey. Finished up with 24. They're doing things right now that I feel like should be scaring the rest of the Eastern Conference. Chandler, how dangerous can this team really be?
They are super dangerous, and I love this version of James Harden. 20 assists, 1 turnover. We all know he's a scorer. He can always go get a bucket, but when they thrive and they exceed early is when he gets everybody involved, when he kind of gets off the ball, lets Tyrese Maxey do his thing, when he lets Joel Embiid dominate. And this is the best version of their team because this makes them unguardable. This makes you can't do it. You can't trap them in a pick and roll because you have arguably the best player, Joel, getting it in the pocket and rolling down. You have guys like Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris that can score, that can shoot the ball. And then they have a really good mix of wings like Shake Milton and McDaniels and DeAnthony Melton that can also knock down shots, but they also defend. They pick up the slack for James Harden. They pick up the slack for Tyrese Maxey. So this team is built to win. They have shooters off the bench with Georgie Niang, who's been knocking it down all year long for them. There was not much defense in this game last night, but this team, I think their best version is this, where they have the most dominant big. They have James Harden, who's getting everyone involved and taking care of the ball. The 1 turnover is huge. It's almost bigger than the 20 assists, in my opinion, just not giving up possessions for this offensive team to not be able to score. So they're super dangerous. And yeah, looking at those numbers, those are – it's history. They're
That's
trending.
fine.
They're trending in the right way.
I want to be like the old 90s grump and be like, this game stunk. This was a frustrating game to watch. It was 2 Mike D'Antoni DNA teams. Mike was a consultant for the Pacers last year. He obviously James Harden and all the things they've built there. Joel Embiid shot 19 free throws. This game was 79-78 at halftime. It was one of those ones that made me look at my TV, make sure I was tripping. A lot of free throws. Tyrese Halliburton shot 14 free throws as well. This is new basketball. This is pace and space basketball. They're spreading, they're shooting threes, dunks and layups, everything like Jason Tatum's shot chart. But to answer the question, are the Sixers dangerous? Absolutely. Absolutely. They have Joel Embiid who can just do this on a nightly basis. Nobody can guard him. The Pacers are a pretty bulky team, and you think they might have had a better chance with Miles Turner and the likes that they have there. They had no chance. They had zero chance. There's nothing they could do. But credit to Tyrese Halliburton for this game staying as close as it did. He's been ridiculous since he's came back from his injury, and I bagged on him quite a bit and didn't know if he should be in the All-Star game over Jalen Brunson and all that cool stuff. But he's had quite the week out there. So look, I'm familiar with your game now, buddy. My bad.
Look at you growing. Wow. Sorry, Shams. Go ahead.
No, I mean, listen, they're definitely dangerous. We'll see as the year goes on. Are they going to be able to stay healthy? The coaching, how does that play out over the year and into the playoffs? But to me, the way that Joel Embiid and James Harden are playing, I think this is only good for this organization. I think it's good for them. This is not the chemistry that they had last year. I think they were really trying to find it. They didn't have it. And I think once Joel Embiid, was able to be the man when James Harden went out and Tyrese Maxey went out, he reestablished himself. They really weren't seeking an identity after that. It was Joel Embiid's team. And then you saw James Harden come in, play at such a high level scoring. You're seeing him get back to the way he was scoring a few years ago in Houston. And he's shooting 40% from 3. His field goal percentage is around 45% from the field. So you're seeing him step up his performance. He's playing at a high level. He's shooting it efficiently. And now he's dishing the ball at a really high clip, getting his teammates involved. And I really look at him to set everyone up on a nightly basis. And I think that's a role he's back to and he's comfortable in.
All right, so here's the question, Chandler. If you're the opposing team, what are you supposed to do here? I mean, if they do what they did last night, 40 points, 20 assists, what's the plan?
It's tough, too, if Joel Embiid's making 19 of 19 free throws. I'm double teaming Joel every touch. I'm making these other guys beat us. I'm making the Tobias Harris. I'm making Tyrese Maxey beat us. And it's funny, playing with James in Houston, you would see so many different matchups and coverages. You think since he's so lefty dominant, you try and force him right, but it's like Zion. He's going to get back to the left. He's even gotten better finishing at his right hand. You kind of want to limit his space. You want to be physical with him, but now with the new fouls, you are able to do that. Back in the day, you couldn't even get close to him because he would basically initiate the contact and get to the free throw line. It's tough. They are a mismatch nightmare to have this kind of duo and pick and rolls and the space, and both of them being able to ISO and go get a bucket pretty much wherever on the floor. It's very tough, but you almost got to pick your poison, double one of them, and try and let the other one of these other role players beat you.
Back to Halliburton for 1 sec. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Real quick, Chandler mentioned a huge thing that will be major for them in the playoffs. Joel Embiid's shooting a career-high 86% from the free throw line. He's been 81% over his career. When you can get that many free throws and shoot them that well at that size, that's a cheat code. Couple that with James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey both shooting over 85% from the free throw line. If those guys are up late, the game is over. You can't do anything about that. They're going to make their free throws. They're going to win the game. So great point by Chandler. And that alone makes them dangerous on top of everything else they have going for them in the playoffs.
I cannot wait for the playoffs. Look, Eddie, you admitted your growth on Halliburton. In defense of you weren't the only one, Wally Zerbiak, who had doubts about who this kid was. He had 40 points in 16 last night. He also had the game winner against the Bulls on Sunday. He's the future of the team, right? Like, you're building around this guy, correct?
Yeah, I mean, him, Benedict Mathurin, whatever they get in the draft going forward. But those are two nice pieces. Ben had an up-and-down game last night. But Tyrese is like the most modern point guard there possibly could be. I joked about him on Twitter before, said, yo, he plays like you play my career. He plays like you played 2K, but in real life. He zigzags to get threes. He pretty much only shoots threes or layups. He holds the ball all possession long until he can get an assist. It's like almost like running the read option in the NFL. He does it out there on the NBA court. But what I love about Tyrese is he is as petty as I want my stars to be. I don't know if you caught this stuff with Pat Beverly, but Pat Bev took a couple shots at him last year, and then Tyrese took some on podcast too, and he remembered all of that. So when he gamed him like this, he let him know on the court, and he let him know on Twitter. And I love a Twitter clapback. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I love a Twitter clapback. So Tyrese, you're in my favor, big fella.
Yes.
Yeah, I love him. And again, who else are they going to build around? They just traded Sabonis for him. He's had a hell of a year. He's an all-star. Mix him with Mathurin and a couple of draft picks. And, they obviously are keeping Miles Turner. This is their guy, and this is their guy moving forward. And he's proved his worth. He's kind of shut up a lot of the haters on being an all-star this year, and he's not slowing down. There's a chance of not making the playoffs, and most players can kind of throw in the towel after that. This kid's still going to get 40 and having crazy games. Good for him. He's their guy.
That was good. Yeah, clap back. You never forget what people say about you. All right, Nuggets beat Toronto. This one had some weirdness, 118-113. They went on a 20-8 run ending this game. Murray with 24, Jokic 17, 13, and 9. Oh, so close. Here's Jamal on the biggest factor in this comeback win.
Playing off these fans, of course, Well,
speaking of that, Jamal, this is your 30th win at home this season. You guys are 30-4 here at Ball Arena. Just talk about the dominance that you guys have displayed here all season long.
It's just fun to play here with the energy. Every time we make shots, the crowd gets loud. And like I said, we just love playing behind this crowd. It's pretty as simple as that.
St. Louis, we love you. I mean, that's the best pandering I've ever heard. I'm here for all of it. And look, you're 46-19. They're now 7 games up in the West. You heard 30-4 at home, Chandler. How much is that home court advantage really going to help carry this team through the playoffs, if you believe it will?
It's huge, but I wish you would just thank the altitude and not the fans. Because
that counts.
Listen, they are a great home crowd. They are great fans, but that altitude is no joke. I've said it before. Coming out of back-to-back is the worst back-to-back in sports. Having to go to Sacramento to Denver, it's brutal. And you see teams in the second half kind of tanker off, and this happened with Toronto last night. They played great. They had a great balanced attack. Everybody was contributing, and they just allowed this huge run from Denver, who is used to it, who is used to that arena, who's used to that weather, that altitude, because it really does catch up on you. So it's a huge home court advantage. Especially, I think whoever they draw first round, a lot of teams kind of go there a couple of days earlier, as soon as they can, to kind of get their wind. So I definitely would look for whoever they draw to kind of do that, just to kind of get familiar with that, get their lungs and get their wind.
Yeah, they're definitely setting up a lot of expectations for themselves in the playoffs. Everyone wants to hate on them. I saw them in the bubble. I think I have a lot of confidence that Jamal Murray's healthy. the fact that he's playing at such a high level now, his three-pointer looks back. He's not feeling it in his legs anymore. They got to be the pick, right, out of the Western Conference. Yes, you have the Warriors, you have the Clippers, a few other teams out west, but to me, the way that they're playing, they're running away with this conference, and I think you have to give Jamal Murray. I can't wait to watch Jamal Murray in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Shams, you also have the Suns out west. Let's not forget. But I don't know if they're the pick. I favor the Warriors. I favor the Suns. I think the Lakers would give them a hell of a matchup. I think the Grizzlies, if they have Ja Morant back, whatever this is,
the what?
Be a hell of a matchup.
Michelle.
Did you say Lakers in the same sentence as all these teams we're talking about right now?
I will say this. I will say this for the Nuggets. A lot of their playoff failures are a little overstated. They obviously didn't have Jamal Murray their last 2 years in the playoffs, and then they lost to the champs. Like, it's so, yes, they have proven themselves in a sense, but there's a lot of pressure on them to win this year. And like Chandler mentioned, they have the altitude. All these playoff crowds will have loud crowds. The Kings will have a loud crowd. The Grizzlies will have a loud crowd. The Warriors will have a loud crowd. The Timberwolves will have a loud crowd, and they'll celebrate if they win one quarter out there. But it's not the crowd, it's the altitude, and it matters. You ask anybody who's ever played, you ask anybody who's ever went high altitude and walked around and had to go, whoa, am I okay? It matters 100%. So it's like one of the true home court advantages in the league. So yes, it does matter. It's great that they're holding home court, and that's why they need the number 1 seed, because they're going to need that against any of those top teams, because they have their flaws. We've mentioned them over and over and over, and they got to prove it. They got to show us when it matters most.
I'll say this though: the altitude helps.
Right now?
Right? Something's altitude-y about you. Something's going on. You're not normal.
Listen, the altitude helps, the weather helps, the travel helps, but the altitude's not putting them 7 games ahead in first place. That's their talent. That's their team. That's Jokic. That's Jamal Murray being healthy. That's Aaron Gordon having a career year. Michael Porter being healthy. So it's interesting because I like Philly, I like Milwaukee, and I like Boston over pretty much every team in the West. And KD is scary on Phoenix, but when you look at the consistency of the whole season, it's hard not to take Denver. But I also understand the doubt. I understand the hesitancy just because they're just not, I don't know, for whatever reason, they're not like an automatic lock in pretty much all of our eyes, I think.
I think we're all hesitating until they do it. But I also hope that Jokic, just like a lot of people, takes all the slander this season and uses that. The rest of his team, too. There was a moment last night, if you were watching, you're like, what the hell just happened? And it was bizarre. Scotty Barnes was ejected. It was quick. Called for a technical from Scott Foster. He said, quote, I was just saying something to myself. And I guess he took offense to it. So he just kicked me out of the game. It was one technical foul, and then he was out. It was so fast. Foster said that he was using verbiage which, quote, directly questioned the integrity of the crew. Anybody else know what happened here, Chandler? What could that even possibly mean? Because that's a quick ejection at a very crucial moment in this game.
Yeah, it basically means that Scotty Barnes said he was cheating, and that's the only way. There's no way around it. That's what he meant. He probably said something like, he could have made a joke. Oh, would you take the spread? Or would you take the Nuggets? Or literally just like, dang, you guys are. Even if you say something like, oh, you guys are cheating us, the refs have zero tolerance for that. And Scott Foster, especially, he's kind of been in these scenarios a lot. He's had this beef with Chris Paul. He really doesn't, he doesn't take this stuff lightly. So it had to have been something of that nature.
Do they have FanDuel in Denver? Is it legal? I hope you name drop FanDuel. I hope you say, your parlay's not hitting on FanDuel, my God. This was crazy. And Scott Foster, look, he's been questioned a ton. And when we watched the Netflix doc in 2035 or whatever, I'm going to remember this. I'm going to remember this for a long time. 1 point game, you eject the guy for, I don't even think the foul was on hit. That was really, really, really strange. And between all the Chris Paul stuff and all, there's a lot going on there. But hey, if he says he mentioned FanDuel parlay, thank you so much, Scotty. Take the ejection. It's cool. You guys are going to win this game anyway. So great branding from the rookie of the year, the reigning rookie of the year there. But he must have said a magic word, and it had to be quite a lot of magic on that word. That was nuts.
Right? Like the verbiage was that's the part. I mean, it was so fast. Still really was very confused. All right, we're taking a quick break. We got to thank Shams here. We will see you not bright and early, just civilized hours tomorrow morning, Shams. Thank you as always. I know I don't want to make it sound like we're getting up at 4, but when we come back. I can't. Is Bronny better than current NBA players? When Run It Back returns. I didn't agree to that.
Run it up, run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, run it up.
On this date, 13 years ago, Kobe didn't even flinch when Matt Barnes pump fakes the ball right in his face. Chandler, would you have flinched?
1,000%. There wasn't, you know what though? There was an angle to this. I saw like a different angle where it was like it was over his head, or you know,
Really?
I mean, it was. But yeah, either way, I'm still asking for a substitution.
It's just so good. I don't know. I feel like it's close enough that the flinch is inevitable.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt, Sacramento native. He's told two different versions of the story. I like the cooler one where Kobe didn't flinch, but he definitely said he was a ball fake. It was the play. It's like, yeah.
Oh
But
my
if Kobe
gosh.
didn't flinch, he didn't flinch.
Kobe
Legend.
didn't flinch, and that's what we're going with that forever and ever. I got
We're
a
going with
little
that.
you buying that coming up. Speaking of Sacramento, how about the Kings beating the Pelicans? But that's not what we're talking about necessarily. It's the fact that they've won 6 of their last 7 after the All-Star break. They're about a half game now from Memphis for the number 2 seed. What a good time to be behind Memphis in the West. Rookie Keegan Murray, we want to play our first playoff game at home. It's not easy. We know we had a lot of tough stretches coming up. We know we have to be locked in every single night. Chandler, you buying the Kings will have home court advantage for the first round of these playoffs?
I am, barring just an absolute meltdown. They're 4.5, 5 games above the Warriors and these teams that are behind them. And they're also a half game just back out of being in second place. So I'm buying it. And I think it's great. This is honestly the feel-good story of the year to me. The Kings, I love what they did. I love the acquisitions they made. I love the draft of Keegan Murray. The 2 stars in Fox and Sabonis have just flourished. And again, this is just fun. The Kings have went through misery. They've had so many down years. And I think now the goal is to advance and to contend. I think they even know that that's not the ideal expectations. But yeah, give them home court advantage, get the city excited, and have a heck of a series in Sacramento in that arena. Fantastic. And I am totally behind it.
Look at that crowd, Eddie. God, they're ready. Let's do this.
I mean, they absolutely lit the city on fire. The city's been waiting for this since the early 2000s. And yeah, they're 4.5 up with 16 games to go. They better not fall below the 4th seed. They look great. Big win last night without De'Aaron Fox. It's, looking on the other side of the game, the Pelicans are slowly slipping out of the play-in. It was like 2 months ago they were the 1 seed. I don't know what has happened out there. They lost Zion. They got Brandon Ingram back. It's been rough out there. But the Kings, best story this season by far. It's really not even close to me. Everybody else we kind of knew would be here. We weren't really sure with this team. But Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, they deserve their All-Star spots. And I hope they get to the 2 seed. I hope they have that great of a season and they really get out there and win a series and put this team on the map for the years coming forward, because they look great. And Mike Brown, the most well-deserved coach of the year in quite some time. And I hope nobody else better get a vote. He better get every single vote unanimous coach of the year.
I'll tell you this. Looking at the standings, though, Eddie, Phoenix, Golden State, Minnesota's who they'd play right now. I think that would be their best matchup. But are you taking the Kings over the Clippers, any team in the top 8 except the Timberwolves?
Mavs.
I think I might take them over the Mavericks.
I'm taking over the Mavericks.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yikes. I don't know.
But you're right. I mean, it gets tough. It gets dicey.
Maybe Clippers.
I know what Sacramento is hoping for, because apparently the Lakers said this, but they want that Lakers matchup. They want to renew the rivalry. They want to finally beat them in a playoff series. And I'd love to see it. I'd love to see them get it and beat them.
It ain't happening.
Me too.
That ain't happening.
I like them against the Lakers.
That's not happening. So get another dream, Sacramento. That one's not happening. Pelicans, though, by the way, they were in 3rd place just as recently as January 1st. And obviously they don't have Zion. That is a huge factor. I don't want to pretend like it's not a big deal. But at this point, it's a free for all, and it's a bummer, because I think they were one of the feel good stories as well at the beginning of the season. Is it too late to just tank it the rest of the way, the 18 or however many games they have left, Chandler? Just go for it.
I don't think so, because they have 0 shot of winning, especially without Zion. And yeah, you remember the beginning of the year, we're talking Willie Green coach of the We're talking how exciting this team is with Alvarado and Herb Jones and all these young guys that are exciting paired with that big three. I like the idea of actually tanking now because they're starting to get this team back. They're hopefully, again, fingers crossed, Zion is healthy next year. And it's not like they have to give up much to just start losing games. Sit BI, sit CJ, kind of try and lose the rest of these games to put yourself in the best position for the draft this year while retaining your pretty much same roster next year that we were so hyped on in the beginning of the season. So, yeah, they're not going to win this year. So why not just load management it up.
Man,
never too late to tank. They're not canceling the tank gods, the Spurs, the Rockets, the Pistons, the Hornets. But everybody else, they can lose more than them. I like the challenge if I'm them. Get that pick. Get that pick. You got that Lakers pick too.
The 6th pick is better than the 12th pick. Why not?
Look at that math.
Get that
math
pick. Get
was
one of those
done like
Thompson
this.
twins.
That was good. Yeah, there you go. All right. The snitches. Snitches have won. They just snitched their way into taking away joy from Giannis with the triple-double the other night. It has been rescinded. Eddie, I hope you're happy. Are you proud of yourself being one of the snitches that made this happen?
Chandler, we should be proud today that we have this power to maintain the sanctity of basketball.
Right.
And I apologize to FanDuel because I'm sure they had to reverse a bunch of bets, and that's why there's a little bit of, a waiting time for you to collect your winnings. But he did not deserve this. There's no reason he should have had this rebound. I blame Corey Kispert, though. I still blame him. Put a body on him, big fella. Do something. They taught you more than this. But, the basketball gods won out.
The snitches won out. Is that what you meant?
And you know what?
Yeah.
And now this is such a deal. Now guys won't do this ever again, I hope, or at least it won't count. So I love it. Shout out Ricky Davis here. But again, that's not a hard. Yeah, see, that guy gets it. Whatever that is, that's what Corey Kispert should have done.
Deshaun Stevenson gets it.
Of
Yes.
course,
Deshaun Stevenson, he doesn't take this.
Give me that. There's pride there. Look, you can't blame Giannis for the lack of pride on the other side. That's not his fault. He did what he did.
I blame Giannis for lack of pride. I'll blame Giannis for lack of pride on his side. He said, you had all game to get that 10th rebound, buddy. You should have got it on that other end. So I blame Giannis for that lack of pride, and then Corey Kispert for his lack of pride.
Well, sometimes time gets away.
What's going on in this game?
I know. I really would have actually preferred that. Breaking news. A man's father tweeted positive things about him. Here's from LeBron. What? Am I wrong? That's facts. From LeBron with a tweet. Man, Bronny definitely better than some of these cats I've been watching on League Pass today. Shout out League Pass. It's lightweight hilarious. Disrespectful, Eddie. Bronny better than NBA players at this moment. Please say something smart here.
I want him to name names. I want to know that this is about Grant Williams in the free throw. I want to know exactly what LeBron was talking about. Obviously, this is crazy disrespectful, but it's also super proud dad moment. So there's no winning. I'm not going to criticize LeBron and go viral. Michelle, it's all on you. You got it. You got it from here.
What? I'm just saying, well, look, he's his man. He's his father. That's probably the man you should be his biggest fan, right? All right, that's pretty cool.
Peak AAU dad to say my kid is better than the NBA players. Peak AAU dad. Good job.
But also,
Mom.
it's not helping your son out. I feel like it's setting this whole thing up to be a disaster. Chandler, what did you think when you saw that?
I mean, what are we doing? No. Listen, the kid has gotten a lot better, I will say. And I saw a mock draft, and they have him going 10th, but Eddie's right. This is his father. He's already made it clear that he wants to go play with him, and whoever takes him, LeBron's going. So he's planting seeds all over the place, and he's so powerful and has such an impact. Someone's listening, and he's going to get his chance. And Bronny has put himself in this situation to have an opportunity there. But the idea of thinking he's better right now than current NBA players, it's a stretch, but I get what he's doing.
Rude. It's straight up disrespectful.
A stretch is really nice. A stretch is really nice. Between this and the Michael Jordan dream tweet the other day,
please.
I'm gonna need my goat to put his phone down when he picks this bottle up. And one or the other, big fella. One or the other.
No, that was after a dream, Eddie. Allegedly, that happened in the morning when he tweeted that. And somebody needs to tell him that dream was not wild, nor was it epic. Big freaking deal. Like you're at a basketball game with MJ and how did it end? No one cares. Worst cliffhanger of a movie I've ever heard in my entire life. Oh God. No, I've had some better dreams. We're going to take a quick break. On the fly parlay. I don't even know if we hit it. That's how cool I am about it. And then we'll have another one for you tonight when Run It Back returns.
Run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.
Make the rest of the NBA season a slam dunk with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get a no sweat bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Now is the perfect time to join FanDuel. The app, easy to use. There are always great promotions. And when you win, you can get paid instantly. So jump into the action and bet the NBA. Download the app and sign up to get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Well, I was hoping that I was the one that got it right last night, and I was not. We did not great. Chandler, yes, the bow was well-deserved on your end. Eddie and I both with a big fat miss. Oh, man. You know what, though, Eddie? You had Dame over 36.5. It was a gutsy call. He ended up with 31. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I was Grant Williams in the line. I said I'm gonna make both, and I bricked both.
I know. Poor
Sorry,
Grant Williams. I hope he has a good day today. I feel like it might not be. But the good news is we can go ahead and try to fix ourselves and make money for the world again tonight. Eduardo, what have you?
Now, FanDuel must know that Joel and James aren't going to play or something. I can't believe the Sixers are getting points, even on a back-to-back against the Wolves. Love the Wolves. But, when all comes down to it, I'm going to bet against Rudy Gobert. So I'm going Sixers with the points. Thanks.
That's on brand. Way to stick it. Chandler, what do you have?
It's crazy because Joel and James aren't like out on the report yet. But
no.
They probably, I love the Jazz +9. I mean, that's a lot of points. If they're fully healthy, they're playing. Mavs have had their issues. If the game's close, I like the Jazz winning it, which is how the Mavs have been ending games. But 9 points is a lot. Give me the Jazz.
The Jazz +9. I know. I'm actually shocked. I'm shocked you're doing that. All right. I'm doing. Look, I think this is disrespectful. Rockets play the Nets tonight, and the Rockets are on a, I believe, 2-game win streak. That's something +6 against the Nets. I feel like they might lose. They'll probably lose, but I'm going to guess they lose by 4. Oh God, I'm not even close. All right, before we go tonight, the Lakers are going to retire Pau Gasol's jersey. Oh, we got to show you guys. All right, let me show you guys what to bet, just in case. I know you guys are listening with bated breath on all of our picks since we've been so good at it. I want to make sure you see the visual. But yeah, no. So Pau Gasol's jersey is getting retired tonight, the number 16. A good feel-good moment for Lakers fans. Chandler, tell the world how good this man was.
Oh, he was so nasty. He was such a good compliment to Kobe in those championship years. He was, such a dynamic player for his size, the way he could face up in the post, the way he could get the defensive rebound and bring it, almost put that point forward role. Shout out to Pau Gasol because he was an absolute legend and much deserved because he had game for a 7-footer.
I love that photo, by the way.
A lot of credit to the Dirks and the KDs and whoever else for the big fellas who could stretch the floor, who could handle the ball, all that stuff. Pau Gasol did this as well, and he did it at a championship level. He could bring the ball up the court. He could play point forward, like Taylor said. He could pop out and hit the jumper, and this was when it was way taboo for somebody that big to pop out and hit the jumper. And plus, if you remember, when he got to LA, there was a lot of talk about him being soft and this, that, and the third. He is not looked at as any of that anymore. Deserve it, Hall of Famer, deserves to have his number up there. There's a reason why Kobe ended up looking at that guy like his brother and going to war with him time and time again. Legend, Pau Gasol. I love it.
That is a big part, right? Kobe loved it.
And not to mention, he had a little brother that was cold too. That was probably
monster.
The backyard battles they had were probably insane.
I wonder what the food bills were like. Those are 2 giant human beings. I'm always obsessed with that. That's a lot of food, no?
Pau is so amazing. He was almost going to be a doctor in his free time. Like, what kind of life is this guy living?
Wait, he did what in his free time?
He was going to be a doctor. Like, he was just going to, moonlight as a doctor while being a basketball. He's incredible.
What can't he do?
I do not want my doctor to be moonlighting as a doctor, though, just for the record. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 Eastern. We're going to watch a lot of basketball and come back super smart to help all of you. Have a great night.